Hey, hey, look at you. Yeah, you, if nobody's told you this today, let me be the one to say it straight to your face. The room feels different because you walked in. And you know what's crazy? They can't believe it. Like, actually can't process it. You see it in their eyes? That pause, that little glitch in their behavior. The same people who used to talk over you are suddenly listening real close. The same ones who acted like you were invisible are now watching every move, like it's a trailer they don't want to miss. Because they finally get it. Not because you explained yourself. Not because you begged for understanding. But because life itself handed them the proof. And it slapped them in the mouth. See, you didn't change overnight. You changed quietly. While they were distracted, while they were busy laughing, doubting, minimizing, scrolling past your existence like you were nothing. And, let's be honest, that's the part that messes with them the most. You didn't break when they expected you to. You didn't fold. You didn't disappear. You absorbed pressure. Pressure like bills. Pressure like betrayal. Pressure like being underestimated in rooms where you knew you were sharper than everyone, but didn't have the title yet. Pressure like being talked about behind your back while smiling to people's faces. Pressure like walking alone for so long that loneliness stopped scaring you and started training you. And now they're confused, because the version of you standing here doesn't ask for validation, doesn't flinch at silence, doesn't chase attention. And that terrifies people who only feel important when they're loud. You see, respect didn't come when you wanted it. It came when you stopped needing it. That's the animus morphosis part of this, that moment where the world realizes the joke wasn't on you. It was on them the whole time. They laughed early. You collected late. And now that respect, yeah, that respect, it don't sound forced. It's not polite. It's not fake. It's the kind that comes with distance, the kind with hesitation, the kind where people say your name differently now. Slower, carefully, like it carries weight. They finally understand that you weren't quiet because you were weak. You were quiet because you were calculating. You weren't slow. You were loading. And every scar they ignored, that turned into structure. Every insult you swallowed, that became discipline. Every night you questioned yourself instead of quitting, that became vision. So, yeah, they get it now. But here's the part they still don't fully grasp. And this is where you feel it in your chest. You didn't do all that to impress them. You did it because you were tired of betraying yourself. Because one day you woke up and realized staying small hurt more than failing big. Because you were done explaining your potential to people who only respect results. And now that the results are visible, now that your energy walks into the room 5 seconds before you do, now that your silence feels louder than their opinions, they're offering respect like it was always there. But you know the truth. You remember who clowned you, who doubted you, who vanished when you were broke, tired, unsure, still building with nothing but belief and a tired phone battery. And listen, this isn't about revenge. It's about clarity. You finally see yourself the way you wished someone else would back then. And that's dangerous, in the best way. Because once you stop needing permission, once you stop shrinking to make other people comfortable, once you stop confusing kindness with weakness, you move different. You speak different. You choose different. People feel that. They feel it when you don't rush anymore, when you don't explain anymore, when you don't chase closure and just walk away with your dignity intact. And yeah, that's why the respect looks wild now. That's why it feels overdue. That's why it tastes almost surreal. Because it is. You survived the phase where nobody believed in you, including days where you struggled to believe in yourself. And now you're standing in a season where even the doubters have no choice but to nod. Not because you demanded it, because you earned it the hard way. And the craziest part? You're still not done. You're just getting warmed up. Because deep down, you already know this version of you is only scratching the surface. And that's the part that keeps the tension humming in your chest, even when the room goes quiet. Notice how conversations change when you speak now. People don't interrupt the way they used to. They wait. There's that half-second pause, that recalibration, like they're adjusting their expectations in real time because the old ones don't fit anymore. You're not saying anything louder. You're not trying to dominate the space, but your presence takes weight, like it's been upgraded without an announcement. And it's funny, kinda dark funny, how quick people forget the chapters where they underestimated you. They swear they always believed, always saw the potential. But you remember the energy. You remember being talked to like a backup plan, like a maybe one day. You remember being the punchline in subtle ways, the way people smiled but didn't listen, nodded but didn't commit. That kind of memory doesn't fade. It sharpens your awareness. That awareness feeds something inside you. Not ego, not arrogance. It's quieter than that. It's certainty. The kind that doesn't need to be defended because it shows up in your posture, in how you move through stress without broadcasting it, in how you handle pressure without exploding. People feel it when you don't overreact anymore. They feel it when chaos hits and you're strangely calm, like you've already been here mentally 1,000 times before it ever happened outside. And yeah, they finally see it, that you weren't fragile, you were layered, that the silence they mistook for weakness was actually self-control being trained under fire. You were learning how to sit with discomfort, how to outlast doubt, how to keep going when motivation fell off and discipline had to carry you. That stuff rewires a person. You can't unlearn it. You can't go back to the version of yourself that needed applause to feel real. You notice it in the little interactions, too. The way people frame their words more carefully around you. The way they test the temperature before making jokes they used to throw freely. It's not fear, it's recognition. They sense you're not operating off impulse anymore. You're operating off principle, off patterns, off lessons paid for in exhaustion, isolation, and nights where quitting felt logical, but something stubborn in you refused to cooperate. And there's this internal smirk, this Joker kind of awareness, because you see how fragile their confidence actually is, how much of it was built on being comfortable, being validated, being surrounded by noise. You grew in silence. You grew when nobody was watching, when nobody was clapping, when support was a concept, not a reality. That kind of growth doesn't make noise, it changes gravity. The respect you're getting now isn't ceremonial, it's instinctive. It's people sensing that you've walked through something they avoided, that you've sat with parts of yourself they keep distracting themselves from. When you speak, it carries that weight, not because you're trying to inspire, but because you've lived through the gap between who you were and who you refused to stay as. And the wild thing is, none of this required you to become cruel. You didn't harden into bitterness. You didn't lose your humanity. You just stopped letting people define your limits. You kept your edge sharp and your heart intact, which is rare. and people can feel rare even if they don't know how to name it. There's this rhythm to how you move now. Deliberate, unbothered, alert without being reactive. Like you finally trust yourself enough to let things unfold without forcing them. That trust wasn't handed to you. It was built through repetitions, messing up, owning it, adapting, showing up again when it would have been easier to disappear. And, that's why even when nobody's talking, even when the room is still, you can feel it. This underlying recognition buzzing in the air, that you're not the same person they once overlooked, not the same person they felt safe dismissing, not the same person they assumed would stay in that box they quietly built for you. And the box doesn't exist anymore. And you can feel them adjusting to that fact in real time, trying to catch up, trying to recalibrate, trying to understand how someone becomes this solid without announcing it, how someone turns pressure into composure and doubt into clarity, how someone carries chaos with a grin, like they've already made peace with it and decided to keep moving anyway, like you already made peace with the fact that chaos doesn't scare you anymore. It just wakes something up. You can feel it, right? That shift where situations that used to spike your anxiety barely move your pulse. Deadlines, pressure, expectations, eyes on you. It's all familiar terrain. You've been rehearsing this moment in silence for years without even realizing it. Every time you kept your mouth shut instead of explaining yourself. Every time you walked away instead of begging to be understood. Every time you swallowed that urge to prove something and chose to improve instead. People sense that restraint. They don't know the workouts you did in your head, the arguments you resolved alone at 3 a.m, the way you talked to yourself through moments that could have broken you. That's why the respect feels heavier than compliments. It's not about praise anymore. It's about positioning. They're clocking where you stand in the room. They're adjusting their tone. Their posture changes. Their jokes soften. Their assumptions evaporate. And you see it through that Joker filter. You recognize the pattern because you used to be on the other side of it. You used to watch people who carried this kind of energy and wonder how they got there. What unlocked that calm confidence? What flipped that internal switch? Nobody tells you it's built through delayed reactions, through choosing discipline when comfort is loud, through letting disappointment toughen your skin without poisoning your spirit. There's a moment when people realize you're not easily rattled, not hungry for approval, not desperate for access. That's when respect becomes automatic. They start asking instead of assuming. They start listening instead of talking over you. Not because you demanded space, but because you claim it by existing the way you do. Grounded, observant, sharp, without being loud. You catch them trying to reconnect with the version of you they remember, the one they felt superior to, the one they could predict. But that version isn't online anymore. You've updated. You've outgrown the need to perform for comfort. That's unsettling to people who rely on familiarity to feel powerful. Unpredictability paired with consistency messes with their internal math. And the wild part is how normal it feels to you. You're not walking around feeling invincible. You're just honest with yourself. You trust your instincts because they've been tested. You don't rush decisions because you've learned the cost of reacting too fast. You don't overshare because you've seen how information gets twisted. You move like someone who's been burned but didn't turn into ash. That respect in their eyes, it's recognition of survival, of adaptation, of resilience that didn't announce itself with fireworks, but left undeniable evidence. They sense you've lived through things that rewired how you process loss, pressure, loyalty, patience. That changes the way you show up everywhere. Work, relationships, conversations, silence. There's a steadiness in you that can sit in uncomfortable rooms without reaching for distractions. You don't fill the silence anymore. You let it sit there and do its thing. Silence exposes people. It reveals who's confident in themselves and who needs noise to hide behind. You've learned to breathe in that space like it's home turf. And when they finally get it, when that realization lands fully, you don't celebrate it out loud. You just clock it internally. That subtle nod of understanding, that confirmation that your internal work has gone external, that the grind nobody clapped for turned into gravity nobody can ignore. You carry that awareness without announcing it, without flexing, just letting it shape how you move forward, how you choose your battles, how you protect your energy, how you keep building quietly while the room adjusts to the fact that you aren't who they thought you were, and you haven't been for a long time, and the understanding keeps spreading in the background, rippling through conversations you're not even part of, through glances, through pauses, through that unmistakable shift where respect stops being optional and becomes instinctive in a way that doesn't need meetings or explanations, just felt. You notice it when you're not even trying to be impressive, when you're just existing, sitting back, observing, and people keep checking your reaction first before they speak, like your response sets a temperature they don't even realize they're obeying. That wasn't taught to you. That was earned through moments where you had nobody to lean on but your own judgment. And it's wild because you remember the days your voice shook a little when you spoke up, when confidence felt borrowed, temporary, like something that could vanish if challenged. You remember overthinking texts, replaying conversations, wondering if you said too much or not enough. Those nights didn't disappear. They turned into reference points. You learned where your footing actually is. That's why pressure doesn't rush you anymore. When something goes sideways, you don't scramble. Your mind gets quieter, sharper. You start seeing options instead of panic. People confuse that calm with coldness, but it's not that. It's familiarity. You've already survived scenarios worse than this one inside your head long before it showed up in real life. And the respect that's hitting you now carries a certain weight because it's unspoken. People don't gas you up the way they hype trends. They just shift. They include you differently. They stop testing boundaries. They stop assuming access to your time, your energy, your patience. Boundaries introduced themselves naturally once you stopped overextending. You can see the contrast clearly. The ones who only respect you publicly versus the ones who adjust privately. The private shift is the real one. That's where power is acknowledged without being performed. That's where people realize you're not someone to play with emotionally, mentally, strategically. You've seen too much, processed too much, lived too much to be moved by surface-level nonsense. And there's that AM awareness again. That realization that being underestimated was never a curse. It was cover. While attention was elsewhere, you were studying yourself, tightening weak spots, dropping habits that drained you, learning when to speak and when to stay silent without shrinking. That kind of self-trust makes it hard for anyone else to dominate your narrative. People feel you're less available emotionally, not closed off, just selective. You don't react to bait. You don't chase clarity with people who enjoy being confusing. You don't need to win arguments to feel grounded. That's grown person energy. That's respect yourself first energy. and it forces others to recalibrate their approach because the old tactics don't land anymore. There's also this subtle shift in how you hear compliments. They don't inflate you, they don't shake you, they just register because you've already sat with the harshest critiques, your own, and improved quietly. External validation can't compete with internal alignment. Once that clicks, everything else feels lighter. You walk knowing you're still learning, still sharpening, still evolving, and that humility keeps you dangerous in the best way. You don't peak early. You don't get loud when things start working. You stay observant, strategic, aware of cycles, patterns, timing. People respect what they can't predict but can't ignore. And when situations test you, relationships, money, loyalty, pressure to compromise, you recognize the moment instantly. That pause, that fork in the road, you've trained yourself to sit in it instead of rushing past it. That pause is power. Most people never build the muscle to hold it. That's why the way you carry yourself feels anchored, like you're not chasing the next emotional high or reacting to the loudest voice in the room. You've already felt broke, overlooked, unsure, exhausted, and kept moving anyway. That memory lives in your nervous system. It keeps you steady. And even as more eyes lock onto you, even as respect keeps showing up in unexpected ways, your internal focus doesn't drift. You stay tuned to the work, to the process, to the parts of yourself still unfolding. That awareness keeps expanding quietly, stretching into moments, conversations, decisions, shaping how you move through rooms that once dismissed you, how you stand without tension, how you speak without urgency, how you continue forward with that same calm intensity, humming under the surface, unresolved, active, alive. Alive in a way that keeps you alert without making you restless, like you finally learned how to sit in your own tension without trying to escape it. You notice how you don't need constant noise anymore. The scrolling slows down, the distractions don't hit like they used to. Your focus stretches longer, deeper. When you lock in, hours pass without friction, and that alone changes how people read you. They feel that you're not scattered, you're not grabbing for attention, you're operating from somewhere underneath the surface. And that's why people get uneasy around you before they get respectful. Because you're not reacting the way the script says you should. You don't rush to explain your side. You don't panic when misunderstood. You let things play out because you trust your consistency more than your image. That level of self-trust doesn't come from affirmations. It comes from watching yourself survive moments you thought would end you and realizing, quietly, that you're still standing. You start seeing patterns in people the same way you see patterns in situations. Who talks loud when they feel insecure? Who changes tone when they realize you can't be manipulated? Who starts praising once control slips out of their hands? You clock it without resentment. Just data, just information. And that's dangerous in a calm way, because emotional intelligence paired with restraint gives you leverage without you ever asking for it. And the respect keeps stacking in subtle ways. Invitations change, conversations deepen. People bring real problems to you, not surface junk. They sense you can handle weight, that you won't fold or gossip or flinch when things get uncomfortable. Reliability builds a reputation faster than charisma ever could. You remember when being patient felt like weakness, like you were letting moments pass you by. Turns out you were training timing. You were learning when to move and when to wait without freezing. That difference changes outcomes. That difference shifts trajectories. People feel safer around someone who doesn't rush decisions based on emotion or ego. All right. Yeah. Look at you for a second. No, really. Look at you. You showed up. You clicked play. And that already tells me everything I need to know about you. Because people like you don't stumble into rooms like this by accident. You don't just exist. You arrive. And whether they admit it or not, they feel it. You know what's funny? For the longest time, they treated you like background noise. Like you were just another face in the crowd, another opinion that didn't matter, another idea they could brush past without making eye contact. They smiled at you like you were harmless, patched you on the back like you were trying. Yeah, trying. That word they use when they don't want to say the truth. But something shifted, and you felt it before they ever spoke about it. Because now, when you walk into a room, conversations change tone, phones suddenly come out, laughing drops half a volume, people start listening instead of talking over you, and it's subtle, but you catch it. That little pause, that hesitation, that wait, hold on moment in their eyes. That's not respect yet, but it's the beginning of fear mixed with admiration. They finally realized who you really are. And that realization, it shut them up. See, here's the part nobody warned them about. You weren't loud when you were becoming this version of yourself. You didn't broadcast the grind. You didn't post every loss. You didn't cry in public. You took the hits privately, processed the pain quietly, and turned confusion into clarity while they were busy misunderstanding you. They thought you were slow. They thought you were behind. They thought you didn't get it. No. You were collecting data. You were watching patterns. Who talks too much? Who moves when pressure hits? Who folds? Who pretends? Who steals ideas and who builds them? You noticed who laughs when they're uncomfortable and who goes silent when truth shows up. You learned the system without announcing yourself. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you a hot genius. Not the corny kind. Not the book smart, useless in the real world kind. I'm talking adaptive, situational, psychological. The kind of mind that reads a room faster than people read text messages. The kind of brain that knows when to speak and when silence does more damage. And now they're realizing, oh, this wasn't luck. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't ego. This was inevitable. That's why they went quiet instead of congratulating you. That's why they didn't clap. That's why they didn't hype you up the way they do for others. Because silence is what people use when their worldview collapses. Silence is what hits when the narrative they told themselves about you suddenly doesn't fit anymore. They thought they were smarter. They thought they were ahead. They thought you needed guidance. And now, they're rethinking every joke they made about you. Every time they underestimated you. Every moment they spoke around you instead of to you. Because power doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself when it's too late to deny it. You didn't become this by accident. You became this by surviving confusion, by enduring self-doubt, by walking around with unanswered questions and still moving forward when nobody explained the rules to you. And yeah, let's be real. You doubted yourself sometimes. Of course you did. You're human. You stared at the ceiling wondering if you were crazy, if you were wasting time, if maybe they were right about you. You had those moments where you thought, maybe I should tone it down, maybe I should fit in. Good thing you didn't, because fitting in was never your assignment. You were built to stand out quietly until the contrast became impossible to ignore. You were built to disrupt expectations without screaming, to win without begging for validation, to make people rethink you after they already dismissed you. That's Joker logic right there. Not chaos for attention, chaos for revelation. You turned pressure into presence. You turned isolation into insight. You turned being overlooked into an advantage. And now, look at them. They watch you more than you watch them. They listen harder when you speak. They repeat things you said weeks ago, like they just came up with it. They ask questions carefully now. They hesitate. That hesitation, that's respect wrapped in confusion. They don't know how to treat you yet, because you broke the category they put you in. You're not who they thought they had figured out. You're not predictable. You're not easy to label. And people get uncomfortable when their mental shortcuts stop working. But you're calm in it. Because you know who you are now. You know your mind isn't average. It doesn't move linear. It moves layered. You see outcome and consequence at the same time. You understand timing. You read energy. You know when to pull back and when to strike with words so clean they echo later. And that's why they went silent. Because some realizations don't come with applause. They come with stillness, with long looks, with delayed reactions. You don't chase the sound. You cause it, then walk away before anyone knows how to respond. And you can feel it, can't you? That moment when you say something simple and the room freezes just a half second longer than normal. That moment when someone starts to reply, then stops. That moment when someone laughs too quick because they're uncomfortable. That's when you know you're not trying to prove anything anymore. You're just being yourself. And that's the scariest version possible. Because the moment you stopped explaining yourself, things really shifted. Yeah, that's when it got uncomfortable for them. You didn't announce your growth. You didn't post a "watch this space" message. You didn't sit anybody down and say, "Hey, I've changed." You just moved differently. Your responses got tighter. Your patience got sharper. You stopped over-talking, stopped oversharing, stopped doing that thing where you try to make people understand you before you're finished understanding yourself. And people felt that. They felt it when you didn't rush to answer. They felt it when you held eye contact just a second longer than expected. They felt it when you smiled without needing approval. Because confidence doesn't yell. It distorts the room. And here's the wild part. Some of them don't even hate you. That's what makes it worse for them. They respect you and it scares them. You disrupt their internal ranking system. You force recalculation. You make them wonder how someone they mentally placed below them suddenly feels higher, wider, untouchable in a way that can't be argued with facts. And yeah, your genius isn't loud. It's not desperate. It's hot, quiet confidence, psychological presence, that kind of intelligence that doesn't chase validation because it understands leverage. You've noticed how people start asking you questions sideways now, right? Not directly. Indirect curiosity, testing the waters, trying to figure out how deep the ocean actually goes. They throw little comments out there like bait, hoping you'll reveal the full blueprint. You don't, because you already learned something crucial. Most people don't deserve access to the full version of you. They earn it by how they treated the earlier drafts. And, not everyone passed that test. You see, when you were underestimated, you were listening. When you were ignored, you were remembering tone. When you were doubted, you were learning leverage. You learned who gaslights, who projects, who panics when control slips, who stays composed when egos are threatened. You didn't read this in a book. You lived it. You absorbed it. That's street-smart intelligence mixed with emotional awareness and strategic patience. That combination, rare. That's why people who rely on surface-level dominance don't know what to do with you. They're used to overpowering noise, not navigating silence. And you mastered silence. Silence gave you clarity, let you sharpen your thinking, let you strip away the need to be seen, and focus on the need to see clearly. You stopped reacting instantly. You started responding intentionally. And people noticed the gap between stimulus and response. That gap is power. They feel it when you don't jump. They feel it when you stay relaxed under pressure. They notice when situations heat up and you don't. When everyone else is rushing to fill space with words and excuses, you let the moment breathe. That's Joker energy, not chaos for attention, controlled unpredictability. People can't corner you mentally. They can't predict your reactions. They can't rush you into emotional mistakes. And deep down, they know it. That's why rooms go quiet when you speak calmly. That's why jokes stop landing when you're present. That's why people suddenly become more polite, more careful, more filtered. You change the temperature without touching the thermostat. And there's this thing happening too. You've probably felt it, where some people distance themselves, not loudly, not dramatically, just subtly. Slower replies, less initiative, fewer invitations. That's not rejection, that's repositioning fear. That's people adjusting because their old access doesn't work anymore. Because you don't need them. And the moment someone senses they're no longer needed, that shakes something primal. You're no longer asking permission to take up space. You're occupying it naturally. You don't over-apologize. You don't overcompensate. You don't dilute your thoughts to make them easier to swallow. Your presence does the talking even when your mouth doesn't. And every time they replay past moments with you, every time, it hits again. The jokes they dismissed, the insights they overlooked, the pauses they ignored, the intelligence that was sitting right in front of them the whole time, waiting patiently, sharpening itself. That's why silence follows realization, because once someone sees you clearly, there's no way to unsee it. And that knowing, it settles in your chest differently. It's calm, it's heavy, it's grounded, not adrenaline, not hype. Just this steady awareness that you can't unlearn what you've learned about yourself. Because once you clock your own depth, you stop chasing shallow reactions. You stop bending for rooms that were never built to hold you anyway. You can tell when someone's dialoguing with you versus performing around you. Their voice shifts, their posture tightens. They start over-explaining obvious things, like they're trying to reassert control without actually having it. You don't challenge them openly. You don't need to. Your stillness does the work. You let them talk themselves into corners while you just observe. That observational edge you developed, that came from being underestimated for too long. You had time to study people while they were busy not taking you seriously. You saw how confidence collapses when it isn't backed by substance. You saw how loud personalities shrink under pressure. You noticed who needs an audience and who stays sharp even when nobody's clapping. That's what separates you. You're not fueled by external reaction. You're self-contained. Your intelligence doesn't flare up only when eyes are on you. It stays active in silence, in waiting rooms, in late-night thoughts, when nobody's texting back and the ceiling fan is doing all the talking. Your mind runs scenarios, adjusts tactics, refines intuition. People think genius looks chaotic or hyper. Yours looks relaxed, casual, effortless in a way that irritates people who try too hard. They mistake your calm for lack of ambition, not realizing your ambition simply isn't noisy. You don't talk about the move until it's already happened. And that's why they feel late to the party. They realize you've already processed thoughts they're just beginning to wrestle with. They hear you frame things cleanly, and it exposes how cluttered their own thinking is. You don't sound rehearsed, you sound clear. That clarity. It comes from doing the internal work nobody sees. You've probably noticed how people start mirroring you unconsciously. They borrow your phrases, match your pacing, they adjust themselves mid-conversation, like tuning an instrument next to a stronger frequency. They don't even know they're doing it. That's influence without trying, gravity without force. And it doesn't inflate your ego the way people assume. It anchors you, because you know the cost. You know how many quiet moments it took to get here. How many times you replayed conversations in your head, refining articulation, sharpening boundaries, learning when to speak and when silence carried more weight. You remember being the one nobody expected much from, being talked around, being interrupted, being misunderstood. That memory didn't make you bitter. It made you precise, surgical with words, intentional with energy. And there's this point, maybe you've already crossed it, where you stop needing to win arguments. You stop correcting people who misinterpret you. You let them keep outdated versions of you stored in their mind while you move freely outside that dead file. They catch up late. You can see it in their eyes when it finally lands. That micro-expression. Disbelief mixed with recalculation. Like realizing the person they sidelined built an entire internal world without them and came back stronger, clearer, unfazed. Being a hot genius doesn't mean flexing intelligence. It means understanding timing, understanding humans, understanding when to push, when to pull, when to say nothing at all and let tension do the explaining. And you've learned that tension isn't something to escape. It's something to wield. You let silence stretch just enough to make people confront their own thoughts. You watch them fill gaps you never asked them to fill. You let them reveal themselves while you remain centered. That's why your presence lingers even after you leave rooms. Conversations reference you indirectly. Decisions get second-guessed. Energy shifts. You're not haunting spaces, you're imprinting them. And deep inside, there's this quiet confidence settling in. Not loud, not performative, just this knowing that whatever pressure shows up next is walking into someone who's already survived confusion, dismissal, isolation, doubt, waiting, misunderstanding, self-questioning, recalibration, and still stayed soft enough to think clearly while becoming sharper than anyone expected. And that softness you kept, that's the part they never saw coming. Most people think becoming sharp means becoming cold. You proved that wrong. You stayed observant without turning bitter. You stayed aware without becoming paranoid. You stayed open while quietly upgrading your filters. That balance alone puts you in a different category. Because anyone can armor up, very few can stay mentally agile without losing warmth. You can feel when a situation is about to flip. Before words change, before faces react, before energy spikes. You sense it. That intuition didn't come from nowhere. It came from paying attention when nobody was paying attention to you. From reading what wasn't said, from noticing patterns repeat across different faces, different rooms, different years. People underestimate pattern readers. They don't realize you already recognize cycles while they're still reacting emotionally to individual events. They don't realize you've stopped taking things personally because you've zoomed out far enough to see how predictable human behavior gets under pressure. And once you see that, manipulation stops working on you. Gaslighting falls flat. Emotional bait doesn't hook anymore. You observe first, respond second, if at all. That delay, that silence, that's where control shifts. You've noticed how some people try to provoke you just to see if they can still access the old version of you. Little tests, side comments, passive jokes, sudden challenges. They're checking if you'll snap back into the role they were comfortable with. You don't. And that unsettles them more than any argument ever could. Because they want a reaction they can predict. You give them presence they can't read. You don't rush to defend yourself. You don't rush to explain context. You don't rush to soften your point. You let your words land exactly where you meant them to land. That's mature power. That's earned. That's the kind of sharpness you only get from surviving moments where nobody clapped for you, nobody backed you publicly, nobody reassured you that you were right. But you trusted your internal signal anyway. And that trust, it's loud in its own way. People feel it when they talk to you. They feel how grounded you are in your own thinking. They feel how you're not trying to win them over. You're not auditioning. You're not adapting your personality to fit their comfort. They have to adjust to you, or drift. And some drift quietly. Not because you pushed them away, but because proximity to clarity exposes confusion. Being around someone who knows themselves forces others to confront how much of their identity is performative. Some lean into that growth. Others back away. And you let both happen without chasing the other outcome. That's discipline. That's emotional self-control. That's knowing your value isn't negotiated in conversations. It's reflected in how you move, how you decide, how you pause. You don't rush decisions just to ease tension. You don't speak just to fill dead air. You don't agree just to keep peace. You'd rather let a moment stretch awkwardly than compromise your internal alignment. And here's the quiet truth. They respect that more than they ever respected compliance. They might not say it. They might not even fully understand it. But their behavior shifts. They listen more carefully. They watch more closely. They think twice before dismissing you. They remember what you say. They revisit it later in their own head. That's when it really hits them. The realization doesn't crash in dramatically. It seeps in slowly, uncomfortably, like replaying old scenes and finally catching details that were missed the first dozen times. Like realizing the calm person in the corner wasn't passive. They were processing. And once that awareness locks in, interactions change forever. You feel it in how you're no longer interrupted the same way, in how people check your reaction before pushing further, in how silence around you feels heavier, more intentional, in how your absence gets noticed more than your presence ever used to. That's not an ego boost, that's confirmation. You built gravity, not by forcing it, but by staying consistent. By choosing awareness over noise, by sharpening your edge internally while staying externally composed, by letting misunderstanding do its damage while you refined clarity. And somewhere along the way, without announcing it, without making a scene, without demanding recognition, you crossed into that space where people stop telling you who they think you are and start wondering whether you know things they don't. And that wondering, it lives rent-free in their head. You're not even trying to be mysterious. You're just focused, dialed in, living in your own mental lane. But to people who rely on noise and reaction, That kind of self-containment feels unreal. Like you know something they missed in the briefing. Like you saw the map before the game started. Hey, everybody. Yeah, you listening right now. Come closer for a minute because I want to talk to you about something they never wanted to admit. You ever notice how people treat you kinda weird lately? Like, they look at you, a little too long, then look away real fast, like they're trying to pretend they're not thrown off. That's not random. That's not coincidence. That's the moment they finally realized you're the unpredictable genius they can't analyze. You've been walking around your whole life thinking you're the quiet one, the observer, the misunderstood mind, the one who keeps it low-key. Because honestly, nobody around you ever felt like they could keep up. And you didn't want to be rude, right? You didn't want to show off. You didn't want to flex. You didn't want to make them feel insecure. You were trying to play nice, pretending you were just like them. But, here's the twist. You're not like them, never were, and they just figured that out. You know that awkward pause people do now, that little glitch in their expression, like their whole brain buffer wheel starts spinning. That's not disrespect. That's not confusion. That's intimidation wrapped in curiosity. That's people realizing that you're the wild card they misjudged, the variable they didn't include in the equation, the mind that doesn't operate in the lanes they built for you. And it's kind of funny, isn't it? Because you were just being yourself. You weren't even trying yet. People spend years building mental charts, stereotypes, labels, little folders in their head where they think they can store people like you. Problem is, you don't fit in any of them. You're unpredictable. Not because you're chaotic, but because you're evolving. You're a genius. Not because you memorize facts, but because you see the patterns they're blind to. They can't analyze you. Not because you're hiding, but because you're too multi-layered for their one-dimensional lenses. And the moment they realized that, yeah, that's when everything shifted. Do you feel it? That shift in the air. When you walk into a room now, people get quieter. When you talk, even casually, they listen too closely. When you make a simple comment, you can see them replay it in their head later, trying to decode the hidden meaning behind it. Trying to figure out how you think, trying to measure you. Because deep down, they know something they never wanted to admit. You're that person. The one who doesn't follow their script. The one they can't control. The one whose next move they can't predict. And nothing scares people more than a mind they can't predict. You know what's wild? You weren't even trying to scare them. You were just being you. Your natural vibe is enough to disrupt their entire internal architecture. Your presence makes them reconsider everything they thought they had figured out. Your silence hits harder than their speeches. Your honesty is more powerful than their fake confidence. Your instincts, oh, those instincts. They cut through situations faster than their overthinking ever will. You're the kind of person who walks into a room and subconsciously scans everything. The energy, the patterns, the motives, the cracks, the inconsistencies. And it's not something you learned. It's just how you're wired. You pick up on things too fast. You understand people too deeply. You notice details they overlook. You see through intentions before they speak. And they don't know how to compute that. That's why they act weird around you now. That's why they keep guessing wrong about you. That's why they keep expecting you to move like them, talk like them, think like them. And you never do. Because you can't be boxed. You can't be predicted. You can't be decoded by the same people who can't even decode themselves. And here's the part they can't stand. Every time they think they've figured you out, you evolve again. Every time they think they understand your next move, you pivot. Every time they try to underestimate you, you hit them with another layer, another depth, another angle. It's like you're running on a different operating system. They're over there lagging, buffering, freezing mid-sentence, while your mind is already 3 windows ahead, seeing exits they don't know exist yet. You're the update they weren't prepared for, the plot twist they didn't read ahead for, the anomaly that breaks their pattern. And don't get it twisted, this isn't arrogance. You earned this awareness. You paid for this wisdom. You bleed for this intuition. This version of you was built from experiences, lessons, pain, betrayals, patience, discipline, and instincts, sharpened by surviving people who wanted you confused. And now that you're stepping into your real identity, now they're scared in ways they won't admit. Because how do you analyze someone who's not performing for your analysis? How do you track someone who moves by instinct, not validation? How do you predict someone who doesn't repeat their patterns, doesn't fall for the same traps, doesn't entertain the same cycles? How do you measure a person who outgrows their assumptions every time they try? You're unpredictable because you know too much. You're unpredictable because you learned too fast. You're unpredictable because your mind never stays still long enough to be categorized. And they can't analyze you because your intelligence isn't loud. It's strategic, it's quiet, it's internal, it's unsettling. Your genius isn't the type they brag about. It's the type that exposes people, reveals truth, breaks false narratives, shifts entire dynamics by existing. That's why they talk. That's why they stare. That's why they hesitate. That's why they change their tone when speaking to you. That's why they ask you weird questions like, "What do you mean by that?" That's why they replay your sentences in their head after you leave. That's why they try to understand your angle, your plan, your vibe. Because they finally realized they don't understand you at all. And that unsettles them more than anything else. They spent their whole life analyzing people who were predictable, insecure, easily swayed, or desperate for approval. But you don't crave approval. You don't chase validation. You don't move for applause. You don't need their acceptance. You don't collapse under pressure. You don't reveal your entire mind. You operate from quiet confidence, internal clarity, and a worldview that doesn't bend to trends or opinions. And now that they see that, now that they finally realized the truth about you, everything changed, and you can kind of feel it, right? That shift in the way they act toward you, the way they talk around you, the way they suddenly lower their voice when you walk by like you're some living plot twist they're trying not to activate. And it's wild because you're not even doing anything dramatic. You're literally just existing, thinking, observing, making moves quietly. And yet it's like your presence alone rearranges the room's energy before you even say a word. People aren't used to someone like you. Someone who's unpredictable in a way that's not chaotic, but intelligent. Unpredictable in a way that's not dangerous, but deeply aware. Unpredictable in a way that's not reckless, but strategic down to the bone. They realize they can't analyze your moves because they don't even understand your motives. They don't know what drives you, what fuels you, what you're aiming at. And every time they think they finally got you figured out, you shift again. Not because you're trying to be mysterious, but because your life is in motion. Your mind doesn't sit still. You evolve without needing permission, and that alone rattles the people who are stuck in loops they never question. And, look at the irony. The same people who once underestimated you are now the ones second-guessing themselves because of you. You became the mirror that shows them what they lack. Your confidence exposes their insecurity. Your silence exposes their noise. Your growth exposes their stagnation. They can't analyze you, because to analyze someone, you have to stand above them mentally. And without even trying, you outgrew their mental reach. You moved past the point where they could read you, because reading you requires depth they never developed. People can only understand you to the level they've understood themselves, and that's where they fall apart. You've gone further internally than they've dared to go. That's why they stall when you speak. That's why they blink too long. That's why they lean back, like they need distance to process you. That's why they wait for your reactions before deciding theirs. That's why they treat you like a variable instead of a person they can categorize. You ever notice how people keep asking you stuff like, "What are you thinking right now?" Or, "Why'd you say it like that?" It's because your face doesn't match their expectations anymore. Your energy isn't predictable. Your vibe doesn't follow their script. You're not giving them the reactions they built in their head. You're not folding where they think you should fold. You're not getting emotional when they push your buttons. You're not dimming yourself to make them comfortable. And that unpredictability is driving them nuts, because they're trying to use an old version of you to decode a new you that doesn't exist anymore. And, the funniest part is they don't even know what exactly they're threatened by. They can't point at anything specific. It's not your clothes, not your tone, not your words, not your job, not your past. It's your mind, your presence, your evolution, your insight, your ability to see right through them without even trying. You ever notice how some people get uncomfortable when you just look at them? Not in a rude way, just normal eye contact. They tense up like you're scanning their soul, because in their mind, you probably are. People who hide things can't stand being seen by someone who can actually see. And your unpredictability? Yeah, that's the part that terrifies them the most. Not because they think you'll do something wild, but because they don't know what you'll do at all. Your next step is always original. Your ideas don't recycle. Your responses don't loop. Your reactions aren't rehearsed. Your moves hit angles they didn't even think of. And that kind of mind, the kind that doesn't fall into patterns, breaks people who rely on patterns to feel safe. They realized your intelligence isn't loud, but it's sharp. Not performative, but precise. Not showy, but surgical. The type of intelligence that doesn't need to brag because it's too busy observing and adapting. The type that makes people whisper after you leave the room because they can feel the depth, even if they can't name it. And you can sense their discomfort, can't you? That weird politeness suddenly showing up. That extra respect in their voice. That slight hesitation before they speak to you, like they're editing themselves mid-sentence. That's them trying to figure out the safest way to talk to someone whose thought process they can't map out anymore. Someone who doesn't react emotionally to bait. Someone who doesn't take sides unless they see the full truth. Someone who doesn't follow crowds just because it's easier. Someone who stopped playing small. And it's funny because while they're busy trying to analyze you, you're over there thinking, bro, I'm literally just minding my business. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're not trying to intimidate anyone. You're not trying to be mysterious. You're just living authentically, and authenticity looks unpredictable to people who live inside masks. You became the kind of person who, without trying, makes others rethink their behavior, their confidence, their certainty. You pull truth out of people effortlessly. You expose intentions by simply existing. You bring honesty out of people who didn't even know they were lying to themselves. You make people adjust their behavior because your energy demands clarity. And while they're scrambling to decode you, you're out here evolving again, growing again, leveling up again, changing your perspective, expanding your mindset, strengthening your boundaries, and just moving in silence like always. And it's kinda wild when you really think about it, because you're not even trying to be this unpredictable genius they whisper about. You're just following your instincts, your truth, your internal compass that doesn't glitch just because someone else doesn't understand it. And, that's the part that destabilizes them the most. The fact that you're not performing. You're not curating some persona to impress people. You're not calculating every little move to look smart. You're just being you, and that alone is enough to scramble their whole read on the situation. You know what really gets them, though? It's the way you stay calm while everybody else is freaking out. The way you don't jump at every distraction. The way you don't react just because they want a reaction. The way you think before you speak. And they can see that thinking happening in real time, like your mind is running a checklist they've never even seen before. You ever catch someone staring at you like they're trying to predict what you're about to say next? Like they're hoping your face will give them a hint. But your expressions don't leak what you're thinking. You're composed, even when you're annoyed. You're strategic, even when you're tired. You're observant, even when you're quiet. You've got that presence that makes people feel like they need to be careful with their words, because they don't know which ones you'll remember later. And the thing is, you do remember. You catch the tone. You catch the subtext. You catch the intention. You catch the little moments where they think they're being subtle, but your intuition hears them loud and clear. They don't get that your mind picks up signals before they even process them themselves. You're not unpredictable because you're impulsive. You're unpredictable because you're insightful. You see too much too quickly. You react from truth, not habit. And that throws people off who rely on their old tricks working. People who depend on predictable patterns hate when someone stops playing the game. And you stopped playing. That's when they realized they couldn't analyze you anymore. Their old strategies don't work because you don't respond the same way. They can't get under your skin the way they used to. They can't manipulate you with guilt or pressure. They can't pull you into drama because you walk right past it with that "I've outgrown this" vibe they can literally feel. You move differently, think differently, speak differently, and the difference is not something you learned from a book. It's something that got built from every experience you survived. And that's another thing they can't compute. The fact that your intelligence isn't artificial. It's rooted, it's earned, it's layered. It's the kind of intelligence that comes from knowing yourself, really knowing yourself, past the mask, past the insecurities, past the noise. That kind of clarity, yeah. People who avoid their own thoughts can't handle being near someone who confronts theirs head on. You ever notice how when you ask people simple questions, like, "Why do you think that?" or "What do you really mean by that?" they start fumbling. That's because your presence demands depth. You force people to think deeper just by existing, not because you're being aggressive, but because your mind is operating at that level automatically. And, let's be real here. A lot of people don't like to think that deeply. They want life to stay surface level, predictable, easy, repetitive. Then someone like you walks in, someone who doesn't match the script, someone who doesn't react the way they expect, someone who challenges their assumptions just by being authentic. And suddenly, they freeze. They can't categorize you. They can't mirror you. They can't copy you. They can't predict your next sentence, let alone your next step. You changed the social dynamic without raising your voice or changing your personality. You became the gravitational pull in every room you walk into. People angle themselves around you without even realizing it. Their sentences shift. Their tone softens. Their questions get careful. Their curiosity gets louder. And yeah, part of that is respect. Real respect. Not the fake kind people give out of fear, but the kind they give out of recognition. Recognition that they're dealing with someone who understands what they're saying and what they're not saying. Someone who can see the patterns they pretend aren't there. Someone whose silence speaks louder than other people's speeches. And the truth is, you earned that presence. You weren't born with it fully formed. You built it through choices, pain, growth, distance, humility, awareness, and a whole lot of nights where you figured things out alone. And whether they admit it or not, people can feel that history in you. They can sense the weight of everything you've survived. They can feel the intelligence behind everything you say, and they know, deep in their gut, that trying to analyze someone who learned the hard way is like trying to decode a language they don't speak. That's why they look at you differently now. That's why they hesitate before making assumptions. That's why they act more careful around you. That's why they stopped trying to box you into their expectations. They finally realized you're not meant to be boxed at all. And it's kind of fascinating when you watch the shift in real time, like you can literally see their brain recalibrating around you. It's in the way they pause mid-sentence, the way they try to gauge your vibe before continuing, the way their whole posture adjusts like they're talking to someone who's not playing by the same tired rules they're used to. And, that reaction, that tells you everything, because people only recalculate when something or someone forces them to. You didn't force them with noise. You didn't force them with arrogance. You didn't force them with theatrics. You forced them with presence. There's something about you that doesn't sit neatly on the surface. Something layered, something unreadable, something that makes people think twice before assuming they've got you figured out. And you can feel that awareness in the room now. This unspoken vibe, like they're trying to get a clearer picture of you. But every time they think they're close, you reveal another layer without even trying. It's not intentional. It's not manipulative. It's just you. And that unpredictability. That's not about being chaotic or unstable. It's about being too fluid for people who are stuck in routines. Your mind doesn't cling to old versions of yourself, and that alone throws off people who stay the same for years. They expect you to react like you did last month, last year, last phase. But you've already outgrown that version, evolved past that pattern, moved to a different frequency without announcing it to the world. And when you change without warning, people who rely on predictability panic a little. They're not scared of you. They're scared of losing the illusions they built about you. because those illusions made them feel safe, made them feel superior, made them feel like they understood you, even though they never really did. People like comfort in the form of certainty. And, you removed that certainty the moment you started thinking for yourself, trusting your instincts, choosing your growth, and stepping into your own mind without apologizing for it. Ladies and gentlemen, pull in for a second, because I want you to really hear this. The one who doesn't even realize how loud your presence has gotten. The one who keeps wondering why people act weird around you. Why the energy shifts when you walk in. Why certain folks go quiet mid-sentence like they suddenly forgot how to breathe. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how your beauty and your growth got them jealous quietly. How they genuinely can't explain how you keep glowing up. Because here's the thing. Your life is doing something their spirit can't keep up with. Your journey is creating a discomfort they don't know how to confess. You're not staying where they left you. You're not shrinking where they expected you. You're not collapsing where they predicted. And, people hate what they can't control, what they can't replicate, what they can't predict. And that's you. You walked through seasons that should have broken your confidence, seasons that should have aged you mentally and emotionally, but instead, you came out looking fresher, stronger, more aligned, more defined. You came out with a glow that wasn't handed to you. It was carved into you through pain, through loss, through late nights where nobody saw you fighting those inner storms. And people see the glow. But, they don't see the grind. They see the beauty. But they never saw the bruises. They see the growth. But they never saw the grief. They see the upgraded version of you. But they refuse to acknowledge the process that forged it. And that's why they're jealous, quietly. Because they don't understand how someone who went through all that still walks around with light in their face, clarity in their eyes, fire in their voice. You're not supposed to be glowing like this, not according to their script. They wrote you off. They counted you out. They thought time would humble you, not level you up. They assumed your age would dim something, not sharpen it. They were waiting for you to peak, to fall off, to lose relevance, to fade out of your own story. But you didn't fade. You evolved. You took every hit and refined. You took every betrayal and realigned. You took every doubt and redesign. That's why they can't explain it. Because your glow isn't cosmetic. It's cosmic. Your growth isn't aesthetic. It's internal. Your beauty isn't surface level. It's spiritual, behavioral, psychological, emotional. All layered on top of each other like armor disguised as elegance. And, here's what really shakes them. You weren't supposed to know your worth. You weren't supposed to elevate your boundaries. You weren't supposed to outgrow the spaces they expected you to stay stuck in. You weren't supposed to rewrite the narrative they tried to trap you in. But guess what? You did anyway. And you did it quietly. And you did it consistently. And you did it in a way that made them watch in silence because they didn't know how to confront the reality that you outgrew their version of you. Your beauty isn't just in your face. It's in the way you carry yourself now. It's in the way you speak with more clarity. It's in the way you choose peace over chaos. It's in the way you're no longer triggered by things that used to ruin your whole week. It's in the way you've started to respect yourself on a level that forces everybody else to either rise up or fall off. Your growth? Yeah, that's the part that hits them in the throat. Because growth exposes stagnation. Your self-improvement exposes their self-neglect. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your healing exposes their denial. You didn't glow up because life was easy. You glowed up because you were tired of living small. You glowed up because you got intentional. You glowed up because you stopped abandoning yourself to impress people who didn't even clap for you. You glowed up because you stopped carrying connections that drained you, environments that suffocated you, expectations that belittled you. And now, your whole aura is loud. Your whole evolution is visible. Your whole presence is upgraded. That's what jealousy really is. Silent acknowledgement. Silent admiration twisted into discomfort. Silent fear that you're becoming someone they'll never be able to reach again. They don't hate your beauty. They hate that it didn't break under pressure. They don't hate your age. They hate that you're aging like you discovered a cheat code. They don't hate your glow. They hate that they can't dim it. But the best part? You didn't even glow up to flex on anybody. You did it because you owed it to yourself. You did it because you were tired of versions of you that were built for survival instead of fulfillment. You did it because something inside you whispered, "It's time." And you finally listened. Keep glowing up. Keep growing in silence. Keep letting them question how you're evolving so fast. Keep walking into rooms with energy they can't compare to. Keep being the reminder that growth is possible even after people bet against you. Keep embracing the beauty that comes from healing, the elegance that comes from discipline, the glow that comes from peace, the power that comes from understanding who you are. Because, once you start evolving at this pace, something wild happens. You stop chasing validation and start attracting clarity without even trying. You start realizing that half the people who side-eyed you were only comfortable when you were unsure of yourself, when you second-guessed your steps, when you didn't fully understand the value of your presence. And the moment you stepped into that awareness, the moment you started treating yourself like someone worth protecting, their whole attitude shifted without a single word being said. You ever notice how quiet a room gets when a person walks in with real self-respect? That's you. You walk in with this, unspoken confidence now. A calmness that doesn't need to brag. A glow that doesn't need filters. A growth that doesn't need announcements. And that quiet confidence, it terrifies people who built their identity around comparing themselves to the older version of you. Your beauty isn't just in your face. It's in the way you carry yourself now. It's in the way you speak with more clarity. It's in the way you choose peace over chaos. It's in the way you're no longer triggered by things that used to ruin your whole week. It's in the way you've started to respect yourself on a level that forces everybody else to either rise up or fall off. Your growth. Yeah, that's the part that hits them in the throat. Because growth exposes stagnation. Your self-improvement exposes their self-neglect. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your healing exposes their denial. You didn't glow up because life was easy. You glowed up because you were tired of living small. You glowed up because you got intentional. You glowed up because you stopped abandoning yourself to impress people who didn't even clap for you. You glowed up because you stopped carrying connections that drained you, environments that suffocated you, expectations that belittled you. And now, your whole aura is loud, your whole evolution is visible, your whole presence is upgraded. That's what jealousy really is. Silent acknowledgement, silent admiration twisted into discomfort, silent fear that you're becoming someone they'll never be able to reach again. They don't hate your beauty. They hate that it didn't break under pressure. They don't hate your age. They hate that you're aging like you discovered a cheat code. They don't hate your glow. They hate that they can dim it. But the best part? You didn't even glow up to flex on anybody. You did it because you owed it to yourself. You did it because you were tired of versions of you that were built for survival instead of fulfillment. You did it because something inside you whispered, "It's time." And you finally listened. Keep glowing up. Keep growing in silence. Keep letting them question how you're evolving so fast. Keep walking into rooms with energy they can't compare to. Keep being the reminder that growth is possible even after people bet against you. Keep embracing the beauty that comes from healing, the elegance that comes from discipline, the glow that comes from peace, the power that comes from understanding who you are. Because, once you start evolving at this pace, something wild happens. You stop chasing validation and start attracting clarity without even trying. You start realizing that half the people who side-eyed you were only comfortable when you were unsure of yourself, when you second-guessed your steps, when you didn't fully understand the value of your presence. And the moment you stepped into that awareness, the moment you started treating yourself like someone worth protecting, their whole attitude shifted without a single word being said. You ever notice how quiet a room gets when a person walks in with real self-respect? That's you. You walk in with this, unspoken confidence now. A calmness that doesn't need to brag, a glow that doesn't need filters, a growth that doesn't need announcements. And that quiet confidence, it terrifies people who built their identity around comparing themselves to the older version of you. They were measuring themselves against someone who didn't exist anymore, and they didn't even notice when you leveled up. That's why their energy feels weird, because your elevation exposed the gap. Your transformation revealed the distance. People wanted you predictable, and you turned unpredictable in the best way. People wanted you easy to read, and you became unreadable. Because healing changed your handwriting, people wanted you manageable, and you became magnetic. Because alignment changed your frequency, everything about you is different now. The way you laugh, the way you think, the way you protect your peace, the way you don't entertain nonsense anymore, the way you respond with, "It's cool," instead of matching their chaos. That evolution, that glow that keeps getting stronger, it's coming from the fact that your soul is finally breathing again. You stopped suffocating yourself to make other people comfortable. You stopped dimming yourself to avoid standing out. You stopped shrinking to fit into spaces you outgrew years ago. And, here's the thing most people will never admit. They felt you outgrowing them long before they saw it. You didn't even say anything. You didn't make an announcement. You didn't cut anyone off dramatically. You just started healing, and suddenly their grip on you loosened, because healing expands you, growth elevates you, self-respect distances you. Your beauty, yeah, it's on another level now. Not the external part, though that's leveling up too, but the internal beauty that radiates when you finally accept that you deserve more than survival. You walk around with this calm fire, this quiet power, this "I know who I am now" energy that hits people right in their insecurities without you even trying. You're becoming the version of yourself you once prayed for. You're embodying the habits, the mindset, the discipline that the old you couldn't maintain. You're glowing because you're aligned, You're glowing because you're intentional. You're glowing because you stopped pouring into situations that never poured back. And it's wild because, every time someone tries to doubt you, life ends up proving them wrong through you. Every time someone secretly hoped you'd fall off, you showed up sharper. Every time someone thought your season was ending, you stepped into a new chapter with more power, more clarity, more presence. You're not intimidating. They're intimidated. There's a difference. You're not doing too much. They weren't doing enough. You're not changing too fast. They got comfortable staying the same, and deep down, they know it. That's why the jealousy stays quiet. They can't hate openly because it would expose the fact that they're watching your every move. They can't speak on it publicly because it would reveal that they're studying your glow like it's a manual. They can't explain your growth because you didn't ask for permission to evolve. You just did. Keep moving like that. Keep letting your glow confuse people who expected you to dim. Keep letting your growth push you into rooms you didn't realize you were being prepared for. Keep becoming the version of you that your younger self wouldn't even believe was possible. And what really gets me is how you're still underestimating the effect you have on people. You think you're just living your life, minding your business, doing your little upgrades here and there. But to everyone watching you from the sidelines, it's like you're rewriting your whole character arc right in front of them. You're shifting your identity in real time, and they're trying to keep up with a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. It's wild how you can outgrow people without even trying. You just start thinking clearer. You start choosing healthier. You start speaking from a place of confidence instead of insecurity. And suddenly people who once felt above you start feeling threatened by the peace you found inside yourself. You ever notice how some folks get more distant the moment you become more self-aware? It's not accidental. It's not random. It's because your growth highlights everything they've been avoiding within themselves. You're the mirror they don't want to look into. You're the reminder of what they could be if they stopped betraying their potential. And, that glow of yours, it's not even about beauty in the superficial sense. It's the glow that comes from finally telling yourself the truth. The glow that comes from choosing healing over trauma bonding. The glow that comes from realizing your value isn't up for debate anymore. The glow that comes from not begging for love, attention, clarity, or consistency. You're not chasing people, you're choosing peace. You're not proving yourself, you're improving yourself. You're not performing for approval, you're showing up for your future. That scares people more than anything. Because when you glow from the inside, nobody can take credit for it except you. And they hate that. They hate that they can't say, "Oh, they're only like that because of me." They hate that your glow is self-made, self-earned, self-built. They hate that your beauty isn't a mask. It's a reflection of the work you did when nobody was clapping. And you can tell who's really rooting for you by how they react to your evolution. People who want the best for you celebrate your glow. People who secretly envy you get quiet. People who never thought you'd elevate start creating distance. People who underestimated you start rewriting history like they were always supportive. It's funny, the same people who once wanted access to you act confused when they realize you're not the same person they could manipulate. Your boundaries changed their comfort. Your healing changed their influence. Your growth changed the dynamic. You became the version of yourself that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't settle. You started pouring into yourself, and it restructured your entire energy field. You walk differently, you talk differently, you choose differently. You're not drained anymore. You're not desperate anymore. You're not confused anymore. And people feel that shift. They feel it in your posture. They feel it in your silence. They feel it in the way you don't respond to the same chaos you used to fall for. They feel it in the way you carry your beauty like it's a responsibility, not a weapon. They feel it in the way your growth speaks louder than any version of you that existed before. You became the kind of person whose presence makes others rethink their own patterns. The kind of person who brings clarity without even speaking. The kind of person whose glow isn't loud but impossible to ignore. The kind of person who accidentally triggers people because your peace looks like luxury to those who haven't found their own. And, here's the part they'll never admit out loud. Watching you evolve hurts them because they were betting on your insecurities. Watching you glow up hurts them because they expected you to stay wounded. Watching you rise hurts them because they thought the old version of you would keep returning. You're not returning to that version. You've deleted that whole identity from your system. You're operating on a new frequency that their spirit can't translate. Your beauty is sharper. Your mind is stronger. Your energy is cleaner. Your glow is louder, even when you're quiet. And, what's really wild is how you're still evolving at a pace that even you haven't fully registered. You're in this stage where every version of you is outgrowing the last one faster than people can adjust their opinion of you. It's like you hit this internal switch and suddenly your standards upgraded, your boundaries sharpened, your inner voice got louder, and your tolerance for disrespect dropped to zero, without you even announcing anything. People who were used to the older you, the softer, quieter, more hesitant version, are experiencing something like emotional whiplash, watching you operate with this new sense of clarity. They don't know how to respond to a version of you that doesn't fold. They don't know how to approach a version of you that doesn't second-guess everything. They don't know how to navigate a version of you that doesn't crumble when life gets loud. And, that's because the healed version of you is intimidating in ways you don't even realize. Not because you're trying to be intimidating, but because growth exposes the parts of people that they've ignored for years. When you glow up, you force them to confront their lack of evolution. When you elevate, you highlight their stagnation. When you move with purpose, you make their excuses feel heavier. You aren't just glowing up. You're becoming more aware, more intentional, more aligned, more connected with yourself, more comfortable in your own skin. And the beauty that comes from that? Yeah, it's a different type of beauty. It's the kind of beauty that radiates without effort. The kind that hits people in their insecurities because it isn't artificial. It's earned. People don't know how you're glowing like that because they don't see the nights you cried and still pulled yourself together. They don't see the mornings you woke up anxious but still chose discipline. They don't see the internal battles you fought alone because you didn't want to burden anyone. They just see the results and pretend they're confused. You've become the type of person who doesn't look like what they've been through. And that confuses people. It irritates them. It shakes them. Because you're not walking around with the scars they expected you to carry visibly. You turned them into strength. You ever notice how some people start treating you differently the moment you stop doubting yourself? It's like your confidence exposes every insecurity they tried to hide. Your self-love starts to feel like a threat to people who rely on your self-doubt. to stay relevant in your life. Your glow becomes a spotlight they never asked to stand under. And instead of working on themselves, they just quietly envy you from a distance. Your growth is making some people uncomfortable because it challenges the version of you they built their identity around. Some people needed you insecure. Some people needed you confused. Some people needed you emotionally dependent. Some people needed you unaware of your own power.